The Zephyrian fleet descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars, their bioluminescent hulls pulsing with an eerie blue radiance. Admiral Kethvar watched from the command vessel as his forces prepared for what should have been a routine aquatic conquest. The intelligence reports were clear. These primitive humans had barely mastered their own planetary surface, let alone the vast oceans that covered 70% of their world. "Deploy the assault pods to the deepest trenches," Kethvar commanded, his gill slits fluttering with anticipation. "Establish our bases in the abyssal plains where their crude surface vessels cannot reach us." The Zephyrians had conquered 17 oceanic worlds before Earth. Their strategy was flawless: establish underwater strongholds, gradually poison the planet's water supply, and watch as the surface dwellers slowly suffocated on their own toxic atmosphere. No species had ever challenged them in the depths. As the first wave of biomechanical assault pods disappeared beneath the Pacific's surface, Kethvar felt the familiar satisfaction of another inevitable victory. His species had evolved in the crushing depths of their homeworld's oceans, their technology perfectly adapted for underwater warfare. What could these air-breathing mammals possibly do against them? The answer came 3 hours later. "Admiral!" The communications officer's chromatophores flashed urgent crimson. "We're detecting massive underwater signatures. Multiple contacts approaching grid 77 Alpha." Kethvar's sensory tendrils twitched with confusion. "Surface vessels? Negative, sir. These signatures are... They're coming from below. Deep water. Depth, 4,000 meters and descending." The Admiral's bioluminescent patches dimmed with disbelief. No air-breathing species could survive at such depths. The pressure alone would crush their primitive bodies like empty shells. On the sonar display, dozens of contacts materialized like ghosts in the deep. They moved with purpose, their signatures unlike anything in the Zephyrian database. These weren't biological entities. They were artificial constructs, sleek and predatory, cutting through the water with mechanical precision. The first torpedo struck the lead assault pod without warning. The explosion sent shockwaves through the water, and Kethvar watched in horror as his state-of-the-art bioship simply disintegrated. The humans had somehow weaponized their primitive chemistry, creating devastating underwater ordnance that could penetrate Zephyrian bio-armor. "Multiple contacts launching projectiles," the tactical officer reported, his voice rising to a panicked trill. "They're fast, sir. Faster than our defensive systems can track." Captain Sarachan adjusted her periscope depth and smiled grimly as another alien craft erupted in a brilliant underwater fireball. The USS Virginia had been on patrol when the invasion began, and within hours, every submarine in the Pacific fleet had received the same orders: terminate with extreme prejudice. Con, sonar, multiple new contacts bearing 270. Count. Jesus, Captain, there's got to be 30 of them. "Very well," Chen replied calmly. "Weapons. Prepare tubes 1 through 4. Target the largest signature." The Zephyrians had made a fatal miscalculation. They had studied humanity's surface navies, their aircraft, their crude rocket technology, but they had completely overlooked the apex predators of Earth's oceans, nuclear-powered attack submarines capable of diving to depths that would crush most alien vessels, armed with weapons systems designed to hunt and kill other submarines. In the silent world beneath the waves, Admiral Kethvar's command ship shuddered as another explosion bloomed in the distance. His tactical display showed a nightmare scenario. Zephyrian forces scattered and fleeing, pursued by relentless mechanical hunters that seemed to appear from nowhere and disappear just as quickly. "How many ships have we lost?" he demanded. 67. "Confirmed destroyed, Admiral. Another 23 have gone silent." The communications officer's chromatophores had faded to a sickly yellow. "Sir, these humans, they're not hunting us like surface dwellers. They're hunting us like we hunt." The realization struck Kethvar like a depth charge. These humans weren't simply air breathers who had stumbled into the ocean. They were predators who had conquered their planet's depths just as thoroughly as they had its surface. Their submarines moved through the abyss with the confidence of apex hunters, each one a technological marvel capable of surviving in the crushing depths while delivering death with surgical precision. The USS Seawolf ghosted through the thermal layer at 800 feet, her crew tracking 3 alien vessels attempting to escape toward the Mariana Trench. Commander Rodriguez had spent 20 years hunting Soviet submarines during the Cold War. These bioluminescent fish were actually easier to track. "Sir, picking up cavitation from the lead target. He's trying to run deep." "Follow him down," Rodriguez ordered. "Let's see how deep these fish can swim." At 3,000 feet, the first Zephyrian vessel imploded under pressure its biohull wasn't designed to withstand. The second tried to surface rapidly and was torn apart by a mark. Quarneoid torpedo. The third simply gave up and transmitted what the translation algorithms would later identify as a surrender signal. But there was no protocol for surrender in this war. Within 18 hours, the Zephyrian invasion fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single alien vessel escaped Earth's oceans. The survivors who had managed to abandon ship found themselves in an environment even more hostile than they had imagined, captured by humans who had been perfecting underwater warfare for over a century. Admiral Kethvar, pulled from the wreckage of his command ship by the crew of a human rescue vessel, stared at his captors with a mixture of respect and terror. These beings had taken the vast, dark oceans that the Zephyrians considered their domain and turned them into a hunting ground where humans were the ultimate predators. As the rescue ship's commander explained through a translation device, humanity had been preparing for underwater warfare long before they knew aliens existed. Nuclear submarines, sonar networks, deep-sea mining operations, and oceanic research stations. They had militarized their planet's oceans not for conquest, but for protection. The Zephyrians had come to invade Earth's oceans, expecting to find primitive surface dwellers helpless in the deep. Instead, they found themselves facing a species that had spent decades perfecting the art of silent, deadly warfare in the planet's most unforgiving environment. The last entry in Admiral Kethavar's personal log, transmitted to Zephyrian High Command before his capture, contained a simple warning. "Avoid the third planet. The humans have made the depths their own, and in the darkness below, they are the monsters we feared we might become." Humanity had turned their oceans into the galaxy's most effective defense system, and the submarines that patrolled those depths had become the stuff of alien nightmares.